KREM 2 News begins now.
Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 Plus. I'm Tim Pham. This is your KREM 2 News Week in Review. Join us as we take a closer look at some of the biggest stories in the Inland Northwest this past week.
The Coeur d'Alene Police Department says it might need millions of dollars to replace important equipment it lost in last week's fire. That's why it's asking City Council to release emergency funds to replace those items quickly.
At Tuesday's meeting, Coeur d'Alene City Council will decide if an emergency exists because of a city building fire. If so, it would then release public emergency funds to replace all that was lost in last week's fire. That includes the police department's special teams equipment, including the SWAT Bearcat and Incident Command trailer. Coeur d'Alene Mayor Jim Hammond says declaring an emergency would help speed up the purchasing process.
What it does is it allows them to go ahead and make the purchase now without the bidding process. So that's how we speed up the process.
Last week, a fire destroyed the police department's supplementary building on the city shop campus. It's home to code enforcement, animal control, and the police department's IT division. Police Chief Lee White is presenting this request to council. In his report, White says the exact amount of loss is still being determined, but he expects it will likely be millions of dollars. But the city is insured for incidents like this. Chief White hopes proceeds from insurance will cover the entire loss.
The police department says the fire appears accidental. Chief White expects the findings will take about a month. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News. The whole reason Coeur d'Alene police sought this declaration is because of a fire that burned one of their storage buildings earlier this month. Replacing many of the items inside could cost a pretty penny. According to Coeur d'Alene City Council documents, the June 9th fire could end up costing the Coeur d'Alene Police Department millions. On Tuesday night, Police Chief Lee White appeared before the City Council, asking them to approve their declaration of emergency.
I'm not asking to go on a spending spree or requesting additional funding from council.
The council approved it.
Yep.
English.
Yes.
What?
Chief White says the intent of the declaration isn't to circumvent City Council or go on a shopping spree, but to speed up the recovery process.
In most city governments or state governments, there is a purchasing process that has to be completed when we're expending any sort of public funds.
The building burned in the fire housed the agency's IT, animal control, and code enforcement departments. It also held some of their specialty equipment, including a SWAT vehicle, their incident command trailer, and their new e-bikes. On Tuesday, the Idaho State Fire Marshal's office announced a battery on one of those new e-bikes experienced a catastrophic failure, causing the fire. Chief White says getting that news left him disappointed.
To have something, a new program like that, be so overall detrimental to the department is just horrible. It's going to take us a long time to recover from this.
Now, even with the declaration approved, Chief White says it's unclear on when they'll receive the funds.
We're kind of at the mercy of our insurance provider. We're just waiting for them to determine what the next step is and when they're going to give us funds so we can start moving forward.
Now, some good news with all of this. With Ironman in Coeur d'Alene next weekend, Chief White doesn't expect the fire to have impacted the department too much when it comes to their role in working that event, especially since they work with other agencies on it. In Coeur d'Alene, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
It looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. But with its multiple arms and powerful camera, this robot isn't futuristic fiction. It's the reality of surgery at MultiCare hospitals.
So it allows us to understand whether or not we're grasping something a little too harshly, or are we feeling something. The new generation has what we call haptic feedback. So being able to feel the tissue with the robotic arm.
Robotic-assisted surgery like this Da Vinci system now being used at Valley Hospital keeps the surgeon in the operating room. It's still hands-on surgery, just using these robotic arms for a less invasive procedure.
True of minimally invasive surgery, gives us less wound problems, less blood loss, less post-operative pain, so the use of fewer narcotics in our patients post-operatively.
Valley Hospital let the public try out the different robots Monday, giving aspiring doctors like Tommy Elliott a first-hand look at the cutting-edge technology he may soon use.
Kind of developing into what I will be doing mostly, maybe, potentially in 9-10 years from now.
The hospital system has been using machines like this for years, but MultiCare is keeping up to date on new versions and emerging uses. Doctors will soon train on this new VELOS machine for total knee replacements.
So once I'm happy with the plan, then I'm going to move on to my next step, and it's going to go ahead and move into its cut plane. And now with this robot in particular, the surgeon is still actually making the cut. It's going to get you within a 0.5 millimeter of what your plan was.
Exactly what Elliot will bank on as an orthopedic surgeon.
Comforting knowing that, that there'll be more aid in the future, especially with something so precise.
Good news for the future of medicine and future patients.
This is, in my opinion, a natural progression for Valley to take.
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The FBI and local law enforcement have been at this Moscow home for most of the day, but they've since packed up and left after executing a search warrant at the home of Aaron Ung's family. Now today we saw law enforcement vehicles parked in the street. They closed off part of this street, and neighbors told us they saw even a lot more police activity this morning, including investigators searching the blue van and green and white cars parked right there across the street.
There was, police cars with their lights on, and I was curious about what was happening. So I looked out my front window, and there was probably 5 or 6 police cars going through this green car right here. And yeah, I've seen FBI come and go.
Pullman Police Department says they executed a search warrant that authorized a search of Aaron Ung's family home, and they searched for any evidence or information relating to the disappearance of Ung's 2-year-old daughter, Soraya Ung Harmon. Pullman PD says she was supposed to return to her mother's custody in Pullman 2 weeks ago. Now, investigators believe Ung may be traveling to Mexico with his fiancée, Nadia Cole, who is a WSU grad. Cole was reported missing after she failed to board a flight with her family. Local agencies are continuing to work tirelessly to locate 2-year-old Soraya. Anyone with information about this case are asked to call the Pullman Police Department or your local police department. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News. Here at Grant Park, the Spokane community gathered to celebrate Juneteenth while also honoring the history and significance of this important holiday. Families who gathered here at the park today enjoyed music, food, and some local vendors.
We appreciate each and every one of you that are here, including you, sir.
A sunny afternoon filled with smiles, food, and music became a perfect mix for the celebration of Juneteenth. The DJ set the tone.
Just a soul groove, kind of a togetherness music.
That sound of togetherness echoed through the park, a feeling you just can't help but sway to.
I think it's a beautiful day to celebrate Juneteenth. The weather's great.
Neighbors shared smiles.
Yes!
And learned about one another along the way.
And what a wonderful opportunity to support my niece and just learn as much as I can about what different organizations in the community are doing.
It's very nice that I have family that is incredibly supportive, even though we are the same, but we're different.
Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865. It means community, it means freedom.
Michael Bethley with the Inland Northwest Juneteenth Coalition looked around at the turnout and felt a sense of joy.
Being able to come and celebrate together, having people support and fellowship together and network together, it's just a beautiful opportunity, and it's a beautiful scene.
Now there's no shortage of fun.
There's a butterfly, oh my goodness!
Or food here, just as long as DJ Mark Thomas keeps the groove going.
And whatever we do is, it's got to come as a community, and it's got to come through love.
Love and community.
It's a good day. Makes for a good day.
In Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
New court documents show police tracked down Gary Burns using witnesses and surveillance video, but it did take time to find him, in no small part because of steps police say he took after leaving the scene.
Okay, sir, you were arrested for 1 count of vehicular hit and run fatality.
Gary Burns hung his head and wiped away tears throughout his first court appearance Thursday, nodding to signal he understood why he's in jail. Burns is accused of hitting and killing 78-year-old Janet Mann June 11th. Witnesses and video surveillance near Brown and Maine helped police track him down, according to new court documents. Investigators say the suspect vehicle was a Chevy Silverado with distinct markings. Some branding had been removed, and it had a black cover over the bed. Security cameras also picked up a partial plate with only 2 matching pickups in the county.
And it took investigators few days to figure out who may be involved, and obviously when they focused in on this particular case and the forensic information available, it centered on you.
Police began watching Burns, but didn't see his pickup outside his home. Wednesday, officers were able to get a warrant. The Chevy was backed into the garage.
The state is concerned regarding the interference with administration of justice based on the affirmative steps that Mr. Burns took to hide evidence after the commission of this crime.
During questioning, court records show Burns admitted to hitting Mann because he didn't see her. He told police he drove away out of fear, immediately driving home and hiding his pickup. Burns' bond is $100,000. He's due back in court July 2nd. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The Lincoln County coroner has just identified the 2 men who were on board that helicopter that crashed last night. They are identified as Ryan Sandvig from Spokane and Mark Mantuffel from Coeur d'Alene. Now, I'm standing about a mile from where that crash happened last night, and right now the NTSB is on scene investigating. Now, on the night of the crash, Darcy Lindstrom, whose property I'm standing on right now, she heard a strange sound and came right out here to her deck to find out what happened. She never imagined it would have been a fatal helicopter crash. Now, the NTSB told me an investigator arrived on scene this morning, and they confirm it was a Robinson R-44 helicopter that crashed. We now know it was Mantuffel and Sandvig on board. The investigator is now documenting the wreckage and crash site. Then the wreckage is going to be recovered and moved to a secure site for further evaluation. Now, the NTSB says a preliminary report is expected within 30 days of the incident. Now, I spoke with Darcy Lindstrom, who lives, as I mentioned, about a mile from the crash, and she says this area commonly sees air traffic, only this time she noticed a much stranger sound.
I could tell it was a helicopter, but it didn't sound like a smooth helicopter, like a whirring. It sounded like a thump, thump, thump. Something just sounded off. When I drove my car down the road and I saw that, I got chills because it was sad.
Now, we do know the helicopter crash did start a small fire in the area. Darcy, in fact, she captured a few photos from a distance showing the smoke, and that made her worry because where the crash happened, that's about a half a mile from her son's property. But thankfully, though, crews were able to get that fire contained quickly. Now, throughout the day today, we have been keeping in touch with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, speaking with the coroner as well as NTSB and the FAA. Any updates that we receive on the crash itself and the investigation will be coming from the NTSB, and we'll keep you posted as we learn more. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Talk to me a little bit about your high school career and kind of getting recruited and maybe not getting those D1 offers that a lot of these guys did. Is that tough, or how do you kind of like wrap your head around it at that point?
You know, for me, I was never wavered by it. I never was. I mean, of course, every kid has a dream of like, I want to go D1, I want to go to a big D1, but for me, I wanted to be a pilot going into college, and Central Missouri had a pilot school. And so I think for me it was super easy. I got recruited really early to Central Missouri. I think my sophomore year I started to be recruited by them. I was D2 material. I was D2, maybe a JUCO, and small D1, and went on some visits and for me, right away, I could tell like they bought into me. I got the scholarship I kind of wanted. I had an opportunity to play right away. And then, of course, you have the later down the line, my senior year, of course, and then I've put on some pounds, put on some velo, and then you have some D1s contact you. And I was raised to, you're going to stick to your word and be who you are and be who we are as a Midwest Kansas family. And I stuck with it. I never wavered. I never went another way because they bought into me so early, and I wanted to, I had the opportunity to do what I loved in the aviation world and the baseball world, so why would I not choose that?
One day, is that the goal, to get the pilot's license?
I think one day, once I'm done playing ball, I do want to go back and get my license. How far I take that, I don't know. Being a commercial pilot or just, for sport and having for fun, we'll see. I don't know how far I want to take it, but it is something I've always kind of dreamed of, yeah.
Have you just always been a plane guy, or how did you get interested in it?
I've always been fascinated with the military, and being a fighter pilot, I think, would be the coolest thing ever. My favorite movie's Top Gun. There's just something about how electric it all is and how fast-paced and controlled chaos, I guess they kind of call it. And I think it kind of goes with baseball. There's a lot like you can control, there's a lot you can't control, and you just got to go with it.
What's working? What have you noticed any change? Did you work on anything specifically during the off season that you've noticed has kind of carried over?
I think it's really just having a consistent delivery, confidence in who I am, and having a good routine week to week. Working with my arm care, working with my arm path, and having drills each day and having a routine of like how intentful I'm going to be with each throw.
So far, so good this season. I know you're just hoping to continue that success, but what are some of your goals as you move forward throughout the rest of this season?
I think for me, it's, like I said earlier, giving our guys every week a competitive chance to win a ball game, keeping us in it. And I try to explain to our higher draft pick, younger guys that are in the rotation, like, it's not going to be perfect every single time. Like you might give up 2 or 3 runs, but it's professional baseball. Like, everyone gets paid to be here. There's a reason that everyone here is the best of the best. You're gonna give up runs, it's gonna happen. Don't let that waver who you are. Like, as long as you gave us a chance to win, like, that's a professional outing, and I think that's mature, and I think that's a mature way to think about it.
Norwester 76. It's like a black eye in the community. There was a riot here. My name is Matt Alexander, General Manager of Stateline Speedway. I've been here at the Speedway for 14 years. We have always wanted to do concerts, and someone goes, oh my gosh, don't do concerts. The whole place burnt down when you did a concert. They told us all about the Norwester 76.
I'm Jim Raskell. I'm Michael Brown. Norwester 76 was June 4th, 5th, and 6th. I went with a friend that was older.
I was 23. Yeah, I was there with the first night.
It took about 5 hours for somebody to hit the stage. You sat there, nobody knew what was going on.
I remember seeing Blue Oyster Cult.
They were superb. It went past June 4th into June 5th.
I don't know, the first night me and my buddy got pretty drunk, so it was kind of foggy.
The next morning when we got up, we got in the gate at the time we were supposed to, but when you got down there, you sensed something wasn't right because it looked like they were disassembling the stage.
There was no sound equipment anywhere on the stage.
Rumors started circulating that the plug had been pulled and that the show was over.
I think they had a sound system for the racetrack, and there was a guy in there saying, okay, people might as well leave because this isn't going to happen. And people, of course, they were yelling and raising hell. And he proceeded to yell a few choice words, which I would have never done.
And as it became more evident that it wasn't going to happen, then the rioting happened. The first thing that I remember as a youngster was there was up top, was like an ice cream truck. They rolled that, they being the people that were rioting, all the way down the cement stairs. It got lit on fire.
There was some security people that were working there, and they headed for the hills. As soon as somebody started getting crazy, it's like, we don't get paid enough to to take care of this kind of mess.
Somebody jumped into a crane and was operating a crane, and it was obvious that they had no business operating a crane.
They had a white convertible of some sort and had people on it, and they were driving around the racetrack, and people were flying off the back of the car and climbing back on. And
anything that was not nailed down was fair game. Stuff was getting burned up.
The police showed up, but they stayed on the railroad tracks, which was south of the racetrack. They didn't want to get involved in that.
My partner, the guy I was there with, stole a case of beer.
We became afraid, you know, somebody was going to get hurt, and so we just proceeded to go from there and left.
We left. It was getting too out of control.
3-day concert, yeah, sounds like a good idea. A lot of bands were supposed to play, and when it didn't happen, a lot of people lost out their money.
There was never any kind of real apology or we can get some money back, nothing like that. So I'm not going to justify the destruction, but I understand how they felt, because it was like, man, we just got ripped off.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of pissed off people. As I got home, my dad says, "Are you out there raising hell with the rest of them damn hippies?" No, Dad.
I'm Steve Jackson. I have been a reporter for Spokane Public Radio for 25 years. I was able to connect with John Brower, who is the producer of the show. John Brower said something along the lines that the crowd was unruly Friday night. They took the sound gear down. Then Saturday morning, as kids are getting up, they realize, hey, there's no PA. And then they don't see any bands play, and they freaked out too early and thought, hey, there's no bands playing, and they started rioting. I'm not so sure that the sound gear was being taken down the night before. I also interviewed at least one regional musician. His band was the opening act on Saturday. He said, when we walked in, things looked weird. Like it looked to me like they were taking sound gear down, but that's at 2 p.m, not the night before. And he goes, I went up on stage to set up with my band, and we got up there. A sound crew guy said, hey, didn't you hear? The promoter took off, man. This thing's over. He goes, oh, it is? We were just getting ready to set up. And he said, as he was saying that, somebody threw a wine bottle at his head. And he goes, I realized, oh my God, we better get out of here. We were told that the promoter must have left. The sound guy said, no one is getting paid.
There was no gorge. There was no Festival of Sandpoint. This was huge for the time and very ambitious if they just would have pulled it off.
We were surprised that they had a 3-day concert like that in Spokane or, the area. So when it went to hell, well, we got one night.
It was fun. I'm gonna tell you it was fun. Ultimately, I didn't get hurt. I never saw anybody get hurt. Don't really like that way of lashing out. That's not what I'm about. People were really frustrated.
Oh gosh, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4. A lot of our fence posts before we just redid our fence this year had pieces of that stage, which was also part of our roll gate. To think that people here in the Northwest would do that, yeah, it's a little intense.
You want to hold another Norwester?
That is one of our wild ideas, yes. We want a Norwester 2026, it'd be a 50-year anniversary, and not burn the place down.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus for a look at some of the biggest news stories of the past week. For the most current news throughout the weekend, you can watch our latest newscast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just look for them in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.